Have you ever worked hard toward a goal, only to give up right before you reached it? Have you ever procrastinated on something you knew would improve your life? Or found yourself repeating the same mistakes, even after promising, "This time will be different"? It can feel like someone is standing in your way. But what if that someone is you? The strange truth is that many people unknowingly become the biggest obstacle to their own success. Not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't intelligent, but because their brain is trying to protect them in ways they don't understand. This hidden pattern is called self-sabotage. And once you recognize it, you can finally stop working against yourself and start working with your brain instead. 1. Why your brain fears success. Have you ever dreamed of getting a better job, starting your own business, or finally achieving a goal you've chased for years? At first, the idea feels exciting. But as the opportunity gets closer, something strange happens. You begin to hesitate. You start making excuses. You tell yourself, "Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'll do it next month. Maybe someone else could do it better." If this has ever happened to you, you're not alone. And contrary to what many people believe, it's not because you're lazy. It's because your brain values safety more than success. For hundreds of thousands of years, survival depended on avoiding unnecessary risks. Trying something new could mean injury. Leaving your tribe could mean death. The unknown was dangerous. As a result, your brain evolved to prefer what is familiar. Even today, that ancient survival system is still running inside your mind. The problem is that modern success almost always requires stepping into the unknown. Applying for a promotion, starting a new relationship, launching a business, speaking in front of an audience, changing careers. To you, these may look like opportunities. But to your brain, they also represent uncertainty. And uncertainty often feels like danger. So instead of pushing you forward, your brain quietly pulls you back toward what feels safe. This is why many people remain in jobs they dislike, stay in unhealthy relationships, or postpone their biggest dreams for years. Not because they don't want a better life, but because staying where they are feels more predictable. Your brain would rather keep you safe in a situation you already know than risk placing you in one it doesn't understand. The surprising truth is that self-sabotage often begins as an attempt to protect you. Your brain isn't trying to stop your success. It's trying to protect you from uncertainty. The challenge is learning to recognize the difference between real danger and the fear of something new. Because the moment you understand that, you take the first step toward breaking free from the invisible limits your own mind has created. 2. How self-sabotage begins. If your brain wants to protect you, where does self-sabotage actually come from? The answer often begins much earlier than you think. Long before you became an adult, your brain was already collecting information about who you were and how the world worked. Every compliment, every criticism, every success, every failure. Little by little, your brain started building beliefs. Maybe you were told, "You're not smart enough. Don't make mistakes. Successful people always fail in the end." Or perhaps no one ever said those words out loud. But repeated experiences quietly sent the same message. Over time, these beliefs became part of your subconscious mind. And the subconscious is incredibly powerful. In fact, psychologists estimate that much of our daily behavior happens automatically, without conscious thought. This is where self-sabotage begins. Imagine someone who secretly believes, "I'm not good enough," even if they receive an amazing opportunity. Their subconscious mind feels uncomfortable. Success doesn't match the story they've been telling themselves for years. So the brain tries to restore what feels familiar. Maybe they procrastinate. Maybe they miss deadlines. Maybe they stop trying halfway through. Not because they truly want to fail, but because failure feels more familiar than success. Another common pattern is imposter syndrome. This is the feeling that your achievements aren't real, and that one day everyone will discover you're not as capable as they think. Even highly successful people experience this. Instead of celebrating their progress, they constantly doubt themselves. The brain keeps whispering, You don't belong here. Soon they'll find out you're not good enough. When those thoughts are repeated often enough, they begin shaping behavior. Without realizing it, people avoid challenges, reject opportunities, or settle for less than they're capable of achieving. The most surprising part is this. Your subconscious doesn't care whether a belief is true or false. It only cares whether it's familiar. And the longer you've believed something about yourself, the harder your brain works to make your actions match that belief. That's why overcoming self-sabotage isn't just about changing your actions. It begins by changing the story your brain believes about who you are. Free the hidden habits that hold you back. Self-sabotage rarely looks dramatic. Most of the time, it disguises itself as perfectly reasonable behavior. You tell yourself, "I'll start tomorrow. I just need a little more time. I need to learn a bit more before I'm ready." At first, these thoughts sound responsible. But weeks turn into months. Months become years. And nothing changes. One of the most common forms of self-sabotage is procrastination. People often think procrastination is caused by laziness. But psychologists have discovered something different. Procrastination is usually an attempt to avoid uncomfortable emotions. Fear of failure. Fear of rejection. Fear of making mistakes. Instead of facing those feelings, the brain chooses something that feels better in the moment. Watching another video. Checking social media. Cleaning the house. Anything except the task that truly matters. Another hidden trap is perfectionism. Many people believe perfectionism leads to success. In reality, it often prevents action altogether. You tell yourself, "I'll begin when everything is perfect. I'll launch my business when I know enough. I'll apply for that job when I'm completely confident." But perfection never arrives. The brain keeps moving the finish line. Because waiting feels safer than risking failure. Then there's overthinking. Your brain analyzes every possible outcome. It imagines everything that could go wrong. It searches for the perfect decision. Ironically, the more you think, the less you act. And without action, nothing improves. These habits may look different on the surface. Procrastination, perfectionism, overthinking, making excuses, waiting for the right time. But underneath, they're all trying to accomplish the same thing. They're trying to protect you from uncertainty. The problem is that avoiding temporary discomfort often creates permanent regret. Every day you wait, your dreams stay exactly where they are. The uncomfortable truth is this. Your biggest obstacle is rarely a lack of ability. It's the collection of invisible habits your brain uses to keep you feeling safe. And the first step to breaking those habits is recognizing them while they're happening. Why your brain keeps repeating the same patterns. Have you ever wondered why breaking a bad habit feels so much harder than creating it? Why do you keep falling into the same routines, even after promising yourself that this time will be different? The answer lies deep inside your brain. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you experience, and every habit you practice strengthens a network of connections between your brain cells. These connections are called neural pathways. Think of them like trails through a forest. The first time you walk through the trees, the path is difficult to see. But if you walk the same route every day, the trail becomes wider, smoother, and easier to follow. Your brain works exactly the same way. The more often you think, "I'm not good enough. I'll probably fail. People like me never succeed," the stronger those neural pathways become. Eventually, these thoughts no longer feel like opinions. They feel like facts. But that's not the only trick your brain plays. Your brain also suffers from something psychologists call confirmation bias. Once you believe something, your brain begins searching for evidence that proves you're right. Imagine you believe you're bad at public speaking. The next time you give a presentation, you might stumble over one sentence. Instead of remembering the 20 minutes that went well, your brain focuses only on that one mistake. It quietly says, "See? I told you you're not good at this." The belief becomes stronger. The next presentation feels even more frightening. And the cycle continues. This is how self-sabotage quietly reinforces itself. Your brain isn't looking for the truth. It's looking for consistency. It wants your experiences to match the story you already believe about yourself. The good news is that the opposite is also true. Every time you challenge an old belief, every time you take action despite your fear, you begin creating a new neural pathway. At first, that new path feels unfamiliar and uncomfortable. But with repetition, it grows stronger. Eventually, your brain starts searching for evidence that supports your new identity instead. Instead of saying, "I always fail," it begins to notice, "Maybe I'm improving after all." That's the moment real transformation begins. Not when your circumstances change, but when your brain starts believing a different story about who you are. 5. How to stop self-sabotaging yourself. The good news is that self-sabotage is not a permanent part of who you are. It isn't your personality. It isn't your destiny. It's simply a pattern. And patterns can be changed. The first step is learning to notice your automatic thoughts. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm not ready. I'll start next week. I'm probably going to fail anyway," don't automatically believe those thoughts. Instead, ask yourself one simple question. Is this really true? Or is this just an old story my brain keeps repeating? That single question can interrupt years of automatic thinking. The second step is to stop waiting until you feel confident. Most people believe confidence comes first, and action comes second. But psychology shows the opposite. Action creates confidence. Every time you take one small step despite your fear, your brain collects new evidence. Evidence that you survived. Evidence that you improved. Evidence that you are more capable than you believed. Little by little, your old beliefs begin to lose their power. Your new experiences become stronger than your old fears. Remember, your brain learns through repetition. Not through wishes. Not through motivation. But through consistent action. One small action today. Another tomorrow. Then another the next day. Eventually, those tiny actions become new habits. Those habits become a new identity. And that new identity creates a completely different future. Never forget this. The voice telling you to quit isn't always telling you the truth. Sometimes, it's simply an old survival program trying to keep you where you've always been. But your future isn't created by your past patterns. It's created by the choices you make today. Every time you choose growth instead of fear, you're teaching your brain a new way to live. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the person who was holding you back was also the person who learned how to set you free.